Before moving to the next presentation, I'd like to give the microphone to Anna Doublet from Sony to tell us a few words about Sony's involvement in virtual production. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. To be honest, I'm a little bit nervous. Firstly, because you have so many professionals in virtual production. I'm just coming out of this world 2 years ago. And today my goal is to become Zoltan's favorite presenter, but it's not possible because after Mata, it's more interesting because my part is really technical. It's why we use virtual production. But when I started to listen Mata, because before I sent my emails, and I said, okay, it's a real to easiest the production flow, and Sony would like to help it with this. So it's not only about story of product, of course product, but we have PlayStation for this. And we have also all ecosystem for virtual production. So I would like to show, if it's possible, the slide where we are now. Yeah, thank you very much. So I would like to show this one. So my name is Anna Doublet, I'm working for Sony, and I started in 2004, so it's many years ago. So virtual production is the next stage of the production, and what is really interesting, it's to understand that it's just the tool to tell the story, and also to sell it on the best way, because for producer, virtual production, it can be real benefit for reduce the budget and reduce also the sustainability footprint. And for us, that's why we are really willing to expand our full lineup. And I would like, if you have any additional question, please contact me. It's really easy, Anna Doublet in LinkedIn, no problem. And I would like to show you, we started this journey 2 years ago, and we have several stages. And education, it's one of the main target for us, because if you have trained people who know how it's work, it will become easy for everybody. That's why big stage, small stage, it's not a question. The most important is stage that used by filmmakers, by creators. That's why we are really proud to get with us University of Munich, Simon, who will explain how it's work now, not only for shooting but also for research. We are also working with University Art of London. We have also some installation in France. We have a cinema school in Lyon, so it's a real cinema school with director of photography, producer, and also in Méliès in Orly. This is the most 3D animation and virtual production supervisor school today. So we are really proud of our users, partners. It's not really customers, it's more partners, because we started the journey and we follow this. It's not just to sell the product. And I would like just to explain for us again, we have the tiles, of course, to make a wall. We have a camera. We have now new tracking systems that we just introduced to the market. We are also really interested to keep the color consistency from shooting to post-production. That's why our professional monitor has exactly the same calibration as our tiles. And of course, we talk about additional tools that will allow to, for example, to get the better color calibration between camera and monitors, or with a wall, and with their own wall. And of course, we have the place when we can meet each other, because before starting to study virtual production, you need to seeing is believing, to be honest. And when you start to write production, you need to go to stage. You need to see by your eyes how the camera can shoot it. You know, when I started in virtual production, at first time, it was in the shooting of European Space Agency. I come into the stage and I just, wow, we go to the go to see the stars, you know. And for me, it was really wow effect. I was just like transporting in another universe. That's why when you are going, for example, to see this on your eyes, you can see the quality of the picture. And for us, shooting in dark environment, because green screen is not really adapted for the low light. And shooting, for example, with the children, because again, the children, it's really difficult to play if you can see. They are not adapted like an adult to react with the screen. And there's some condition. That's why in Pinewood Studio in UK, we have a training center. This is for free. We meet our partners, we meet teachers, we meet customers, researcher, and we can show our wall, we can show our camera, how it's connect each other, and so it's all in operation. It's not like just a product brochure. I can send you, of course, but you're welcome to join us and to see it by your eyes. And now I think I will just finish with latest, so you can book your visit. You can contact us, book your visit. We can spend 1 day, half hours. It's up to you what you would like to test, what you would like to see. And now I think it will be better to talk with our partners. So Simon, you can explain how you use the wall. And thank you very much. So let's stay in touch. I will stay today and tomorrow, and we'll be absolutely happy to meet all you professionals. So you will explain me how it's work. Thank you again, Zoltan. You organized very, very good event. Thank you. Sorry.
Try again. It's working. Okay, great. Thank you very much. How much time do I have, Sultan? So I'm working on my professorship, so I have much more slides than I may have time to. 50 to 20. Okay, well, it's the challenge. Okay, all right. I talk faster then. Thank you very much for having me. I'm Simon. I'm from the University of Television and Film in Munich, and specifically from the CreatiF Center there, a newly founded research project, but later a little bit more about this research project. I'm talking about the challenge to enabling research, teaching, and creative work on an LED wall, and this all at once and at the same time, which is not that easy. And I will explain you in the next couple of slides why. A little bit about the HFF. We are approximately about 400 students with 7 different study programs, and I can say something that audio is not part of this. So sometimes there's a lag, so thanks for the presentation earlier this morning. We've got around 27 plus professorships for all the different departments and approximately 80 employees in teaching and administration. The very important thing is that the HFF is one of the biggest production companies in Munich, which is also a very media, heavy media org. And we have around 120 films per year. And this is not to brag. This slide is not to brag. This slide is to explain you my dilemma. Because if one student of the HFF wins an Oscar, everybody wants to win an Oscar. And this is also what they put on me, on my team, is that they demand that the technology is as good as that they can win Oscars with it. Well, so this in the back of your heads, we talk a little bit, or I talk a little bit about the CreatiF Center. The CreatiF Center is the innovation hub of the HFF Munich. We exist since 1.5 years. And our main goal is to bring technicians, technical people, technical stuff together with creatives, with talents. It's to bring them together that they can develop shared visions and bring their projects to the next levels. It's not an easy task. On the one hand, artists who feel themselves as artists and say, well, no, that's too techy, I don't care about this, can you just show me how it's going? And on the other hand, people who like to wear black hoodies and sit in dark caves and program to bring together on a set. And this is one of the most important things that when we talk later on about workflows is how to bring these people together. And I think we had it in one of the presentations early in the morning, is to create a shared language that you speak on set if you have this it's a type of different characters all around. Well, our research project is funded until 2027. We are funded partly by the state government and partly by the federal governments. Our focus is on transfer of knowledge into the society, into the science, and also into the industry. And we consist of 3 sub-projects, which two of them I'll briefly introduce to you, so just that you have heard about them, and then one, the virtual production main project, I will focus. We've got the HFFF, which is creating the legacy of the HFF Munich, and tries to create an impact. So we have got a lot of analog film material down in our cellars, which is not digitized yet, and we have to figure out how we can digitize them and to store them digitally, which is not an easy task, because how do you deal with petabytes of film at the end? How do you store it, and how do you make it available for the public? The data is not the problem, the licensing is the problem at this point. This is really, if we have films from the 1970s and they didn't care about licensing at all, so it's quite interesting how we can make these films available to the public. The second project is the integrative production management. It's all about workflows. It's about innovative tools in film and television production workflows, and to present a vision of a new era of production where the people on the set and the people in the production are in focus. It's also a way of thinking. This is from the computer sciences, where you have always the user in the focus. And this is also what we want to shift in film production and in the industry, is that the users and the people who are doing this are in focus and not so much money and everything around. Yeah, but the project I want to talk today, and especially in the context of virtual production, is the Creative Innovation Lab. This is our research, technical research laboratory, with the goal to enable tomorrow's stories and advancing the HFF into the future. And the first step was to build a real-world laboratory for innovative technologies, where we can test virtual productions combined with artificial intelligence and also with volumetric video. And we are quite proud that the HFF has, since a couple of years, an AI research professorship. She's also here, so just wave your hand. And this is one department of the HFF where we collaborate very, very intensively, especially in combination with virtual production. What is meant by a real-world laboratory? The idea is to test innovative technology together with students, with student productions, and to see how they work out, and if they are applicable also for the industry, or if they are just nice ideas. And well, okay, then we try the next thing at the next production. So it's more or less like a sandbox where you can play around, where you can try stuff. And this is one of the first problems that we have. Also in the HFF, a production, even if it's a student production, has money behind it. And if we start with, well, I want to try something, I don't know if it works really, can we just do it? And then they say, yeah, well, that costs time, it costs money, I can't deal, how can I plan for this? And we say, well, I'm a researcher, I don't know, I can't plan it, so shit happens or it doesn't happen. So it's quite tricky. And to build an environment where this can happen is not as easy. And also the equipment has to be prepared for this. When we're talking about virtual production, which is one of our main focuses in this project, is in-camera visual effects, as we mentioned earlier as well. So LED wall, tracked camera, and real-time rendering engine in the background. Real-time rendering, then everything that comes with it, color management, and as well digital twins, and yeah, for sure we also heard from the Film University 3D world generations. It's a very, very interesting research topic in this area. What we want to achieve is a final pixel workflow. So a lot of pre-production, a lot of production, and mainly no post-production. As you see also in this, you have laser? No. As you can see in the workflows, is that you now have new roles on set, and that you have new workflows on set, that you have new people on set that are talking to each other and that have to share a common vision and a common language. And it starts with wordings like processors. Well, to try this and to figure it out is the best way to apply it to real production and then write down very, very carefully what worked and what didn't. So how do we get started? You just don't go out there, especially not as a state university, and buy an LED wall. It has a lot of steps that you have to go through. And we started with visiting other stages around Munich. We are quite happy that we have 2 bigger stages around Munich with the Hyperbole now into the west. They had their first Hollywood production, I think, a few months ago. And we have a smaller stage in Ismaning, mainly focused on television from the Plaza Media. We went there. They were very, very open. They showed us everything. They explained us how their equipment was set up. We also had the opportunity to visit a research project at Bavaria Studios. They just finished a research project together with Ari and Scanline to develop virtual production technologies. We read a lot, of course. We read papers. And we started with a proof of concept. So we built a miniature setup. This was something that even as with federal money, you can buy a little setup very, very soon. And of course, we sent our team to the IC and to the IBC to check out what's on the market. This is our first attempt, very, very early in the beginning of the project with the VFX students that we have at the HFF. They brought a lot of ideas. We just basically gathered all the stuff they needed and said, okay, here we supervise you by building up a little studio, and you can use whatever story you want. You can bring whatever props you want. And this is the first clip that we produced in early last year. It's not motivated by any common show at the moment, not at all. And it turns out you do not need for this very, very large studio. You don't need a studio like this, which Matt said it's medium small. So afterwards you will see ours is small, but this is really, really small. This is the first attempt we did. And it's very easy. So to teach how the technical components work and for us to see if the technical components as we thought are working, it's very, very good to demonstrate. And it's really hands-on. And if they drop the LED wall, it's not that big a deal at this moment. And it worked quite well. So we defined what we wanted. Now, we wanted a mobile and flexible research system in the first place to see what the HFF would need if they're talking about productions. We just wanted something handy, something small that we could work with, that we could do our research with. It should be easy to maintain. It should be run by a common but solid processor, so that if the students go into the industry later, that they see, I saw this processor at my university. Of course, we wanted workstations and render nodes. We wanted a common tracking system. And yeah, we wanted to have it expandable if possible. And it should be designed for teaching and research. When I talk about research, what research are we planning to do? 3 types of research we're planning to do. It's technical research, it's scenic research, and production workflows. We want to explore especially where the limits of this technology. So how far can you zoom onto the wall? How many frames per second can you get out of the wall? How stable is the color? And things like that. So we always like to break the LED wall. Especially we want to build up a knowledge base for HFF productions, and we want to establish guidelines, especially for demanding setups, like such as higher frame rates or something like that. We want to do scenic research, so we want to find out what are new design possibilities. We want to find out how we can synchronize LED walls with movement. So already earlier mentioned that you could use treadmills, but you could also use like a bicycle, and you could put their sensors on. And what we also want to stress is at that moment, and it was, I think, in the first presentations in the morning by Carlos, it was like the real-time rendering. The real-time rendering is very, very important, and I think most of our students don't get what it means. Real-time rendering means if I have a pistol and I shoot on the wall, I can have the bullet impact on the wall in a virtual world in real time. This is acting with the wall, and this is something that I think for especially the creatives at our school didn't get at the moment, that I can play with this thing. It's not just a backdrop, it reacts to you. And this is something that we want to do when we talk about scenic research. Yeah, and we want to try out production workflows. We did our first prototype, is also a word that I'm used to because I'm from the informatics department, a prototype shoot. I had to tell the crew a whole day what I meant with a prototype shoot. At the end, they get it. Yeah, I don't want the picture as perfect. I want to test technology if it works in a circum environment. And we found out you have to think completely different if you have a virtual production shoot as when you shoot normally. So we had our DOP and we had 2 different cameras. We wanted to try 2 different cameras, and the DOP said, okay, well then I grab one camera and make the other one ready, and then I'll swap them. And I say, no, 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 you don't swap. You've got tracking system, you have lens calibration, and he was like, okay, then perhaps we make one shoot one day with one camera and the next shoot on the other day, and in between we do all the changing stuff. How am I in time?
5, 8 minutes.
Okay.
But like altogether.
Okay. Yeah, all together, sure. So, okay, what did the HFF wanted? So we had a camera prof that he was shooting in the Hyperbole. So this is the Hyperbole near to Munich. It's a 400 square meter LED studio with ceilings and everything, and he wanted that and was like, did you have a look at my numbers, what my budget is? No, he didn't. So, yeah, we have to scale down a little bit the expectations. We had a limited budget, we had a lot of bureaucratic hurdles, and we have the problem, and I talked to the other film universities and to film universities and the animation department. They have similar problems. Is we have 4 studios at the HFF, and they're always booked. So if I put my LED wall in one studio, I will never see it again. So we needed something that's absolutely mobile, and we wanted something that we can put around. We wanted something that we could extend, and this is where Sony comes into play. We met them at the IBC, and then we got the invite to, this is Pinewood, what you saw earlier in the presentation. And what this picture demonstrates very, very cool is the development between the first version of the Verona and the second version. So we have in the background, grayish, the first version of the Verona, and the darker panel is the new Verona. And we decided to have a COB wall so that everything is glued in and that you have like a protection layer on your pixels, because students, yeah, sometimes something drops or something like that. So we wanted something that's durable. And this was, the problem with the COB walls was that they had a lot of problems with reflections. And then we were invited to Pinewood, and we went there, and every one of us had a mag light, like a flashlight, a real big flashlight in their hand luggage, because we wanted to see if Sony is hiding something there. And that we were able to put the flashlights on the wall to see how the reflections are. But they in Pinewood say, do you want a spot on the wall? And it's like, yeah, please give us a spot. And then they put a spot full on, and then we say, okay, good, it's a very good reflection. And we can work with this. And also, what we got from Sony is the promise that we can extend at any time, so we are batch free. And we say, okay, can we have this in black and white? We got it in black and white, and we say, okay, all right, if I can have new LED modules at any time and extend my wall, that's quite good. And then we figured out how we could put it on a frame that's movable. We got a movable flight case, and now we can roll the wall, which is 10 square foot. Here I got it. It's 10 square meters with 3 different configurations. We can put it in a 3x3. We can have it in a 2.5 by 4 and in a 2 by 5 meter configuration. We have a frame a mobile frame where we just put everything. We can move it up and down. We use also prompt processing. We have 3 workstations, 2 brain bars as artist stations, and the render node. And at the moment, we are using the Wi-Fi Mars tracking system, which is very, very easy and cheap, and yet quite reliable. Sorry, I really speed up here at the moment. We had trainings, and this is just to demonstrate how we can configure in different ways to stack the panels and other configurations. And at the bottom you see how we could use the mobile frame to put it in any studio that we wanted, that's available, and we can do our testing with it. And here you see it in the small studio that, of course, is the most available one, and it's designed to fit into there. And interesting to point out is that here on your right side is our first version of an LED wall from 2011. It has a pixel pitch of 5 centimeters. And the gray cover is a diffuser, so that you could get a very, very blurry image at the end. We've got a pixel pitch of 1.5 millimeters because we want to go quite narrow to the wall because we have limited space. And it works out very, very well. And I show you how well it worked out. This is from our inauguration event. And this is the point where I turn over to my colleagues because they can explain you a little bit more about the research that is going on now and at the moment at the HFF.
Thank you, Simon. Okay, so to introduce myself to you, I am Ellie Bouquet. I'm a research associate at the CreatiF Center, and I'm part of the Creative Innovation Lab. And besides scenic research about how to match the physical foreground with the virtual background, and also color grading, color calibration, all the stuff, the research I'm currently tackling is also about the boundaries of virtual production, ICVFX, how to use, an example from my side, how to use the virtual production LED wall, to use it as a prop in your artistic choices, how you can break also the illusion and use it as an artistic choice. And on the other hand, I'm also trying to use metahumans as actors in the background and try to see if it's working, if the metahuman is really proper to use them as actors in the background and also in the foreground, and also use live acting methods like motion capturing to make them alive. And yes, this next presentation slide will showcase our last dry run with the virtual production wall. So it was kind of our first real production, also with students from the production and camera department. So for us, it was kind of the first really sweaty situation because there was a time schedule and deadlines that should be met, and a plan, a shot list and everything. But yes, that was our first try to integrate a metahuman, and the next step will be to animate the metahuman and also get into live acting on the VP stage. And then at this moment, I would like to give over.
All right. Hello. Right, I've been told I have 60 seconds or so. So hi. Okay, 2 minutes. I'm Timothy. I work at Fraunhofer IES in Erlangen, that is around Nuremberg. And we are also part of the CreatiF project. We're 2 researchers at IES that basically work every day with the HFF team. And we do a little bit more technical research. We are mostly doing 3D reconstruction, and that's kind of in 2 places. One is scenes. So I'm trying to reconstruct scenes, and my colleague Nikolai, who's unfortunately not here, is trying to reconstruct people and faces especially, so trying to really animate 3D reconstructions kind of goes into what Ellie is doing with metahumans at the HFF. Why is the Fraunhofer involved with the CreatiF project? That is a little bit like... So we've been working on 3D reconstruction since the light field days, and then into nerves. And then when the CreatiF project came along, we were basically saying, okay, can we use the tech that we've been developing for a couple of years in virtual production or in the film production world? And that's kind of where I got onboarded. I have a mixed education in film production first, and then did my master's in computer science at the University of Bath. And that's kind of how this whole thing came together. So, right, reconstructions or 3D reconstructions in for film production. As we said, we came from a NERF background, and we started with that and kind of moved from there. What you're seeing here is a Gaussian splat. That was the kind of next thing we were looking at. So we really started out in 2023 looking at what is currently available, what is currently possible, what are the limitations especially. I think the limitations here are quite clear. It looks good from certain angles, but from others not. I think when the camera flips around, you'll see the overexposed street. And how can we improve that? And I'll very briefly touch on this. Very skimmed. We started basically saying, okay, we've got these Gaussian splats, we've got these NERFs. The NERFs especially were not very usable, but the Gaussian splats are also a little bit tricky to work with. And how do we not only create something that is has a high fidelity and is ready to be used in an actual final pixel production, but is also usable to the artists that then have to work with it, that need to edit this, that need to relight this particularly later on. So we started with something called voxel meshes, or what we called voxel meshes. That was during the NERF days. That was what you can see here on the left. That was also not particularly fun to use, and have now moved actually onto a mesh-based workflow. That's what we're working on right now. So we actually reconstruct a mesh using neural networks, which gets around some of the problems we have with photogrammetry, which is kind of the classic way, which has been done for 20 years. And then we actually retexture using a different AI and create a neural texture on top of that. And that, you're seeing here a reconstruction of one of our old light field arrays. We can get around things like cables, which have always been a problem. We can reconstruct reflections, obviously, so view-dependent reflections, and that's kind of what we're working on. That's kind of the very quick rundown, and if you want to know more or want to see more, I'll be available today and tomorrow, and I'll be around. Thank you very much.